For my presentation, I would like to focus on how you can use the Wii to teach math and science concepts for grades 3 through 12. My ploy to you today is to use it to actually teach, and to teach about a unit that's going to take about a month and a half minimum to complete, okay? Depending on how you set it up. So we'll talk about that. And I'm just throwing out my ideas. You might have a better one. Today I'm going to talk about how students are going to create experiments. Students are going to carry out the experiments. Students are going to decide what data is going to be collected. Students are going to figure out how they're going to analyze data. And what are you going to do as the teacher? Are we going to stand up and lecture?
No.
Nope.
Great.
We're going to let them run this unit, okay? But we're going to use probing questions, and we're going to help out those students that need guidance by providing examples, okay? And the other students that have their own ideas, we are going to let them run as fast as they can with it. I want you to think, okay, what mathematics, what data can we collect with sports? Win-loss, averages, maximums, minimums, ranges, quartiles, linear regression models. You could get into polynomial regression models, depending on whatever your grade level is. So we are going to use these 4 volunteers. We're going to create our own experiment, and we can compare your dominant versus non-dominant if you want. Eyes opened, eyes closed. That was suggestions from my students, because this is virtual. Can you bowl with your eyes closed with this? Yeah. So you could just see, okay, well, how well is it going to work? Okay, so I want my students to do background research. So we're bowling. So we would have stations going up. Maybe one group is collecting their data today at a certain time. The other students are working on their laptops, or we're in a computer lab, and they're doing background research on whatever sports they're working on. We're bringing newspapers in, local newspapers. We've got, like Kansas, well, if we were doing baseball, we've got the Kansas City Royals. So I could get Royals data. We can also have class competitions. So my 3rd grade against your 3rd grade, or 8th graders against 6th graders. You know, are 8th graders better at baseball than 6th graders are, or vice versa? Okay, so you get competition going on within grade levels or among. So I'm thinking that students are going to be split up into small groups, probably groups of 4. And if I'm in a small group of 4, and I can start my experiment, but I want all the other students to collect data on my experiment, I'm going to have posters on my wall, okay? And my poster is going to have the other students in my class write their name down, collect the data at some point in time, however we have that dispersed, and then they're going to write that on there. So we've got different experiments going on, and everybody gets to collect the data for the different experiments. But then my group is going to analyze my data, their group's going to analyze theirs, whatever. We could also do a graffiti model type setup, and this is kind of how it is, and you can pass around the data and have other groups analyze it as well. Okay? We found out that the range was 30. We found out that the mode, it was bimodal, and we had 73. The median was 71. The mean was 64.5, and we did not bowl a whole game. We just did 5 frames. So, questions we could ask: what do you think the end scores are going to be, and why? Okay. How else can we compare this data? This is only 4. We were doing gender. They were all right-handed. So, did females do better than males? Which central tendency is the best representation of this data, and why? Okay. Because the average is not always the best representation. I want my students to be able to clearly communicate their results. You can have them create a video with this experiment. You're like, how am I going to do this in your classroom? This is not a 1-hour lesson at all. First of all, you need to let your students come in and create their character. So we've got different stations. We've got leaders over here. We've got background researchers over here. We've got other groups working on practice problems. Maybe they're working on their Excel sheet on how they're going to analyze the data. Maybe they're working on practice problems, so they're learning how they're going to apply the analysis. 2 and 3, or 3 and 4, however you want to do this, I urge you to collect real data as well. Set up a field trip. Get your students on a bus to a bowling alley and make them do this real time. Make them collect their data by hand and not using any computer generated, even if it's up on the screen. Make them collect it. If you're doing baseball, get your class outside. Work with the physical education teacher as well. Okay, and have them work with you too. Maybe if you're in high school or middle school, the PE teacher can take them out and do baseball at some point in time, and then you can get that information back. And compare. How can you do with virtual games and real games? How are you going to put it together? Maybe you're going to create a class book. Okay, so our experiments are all going to be in there. Maybe they did a write-up on saying, what their experiment was, how they designed it. They just wrote up this scientific experiment, following the different steps. They put that together. Maybe they took some pictures while they were playing, or they took pictures of the screen so they could show some of the data they collected. They would also maybe create some tables and put that in there, and then you have all those experiments in a tangible book that you can put in a 3-ring binder, and you can keep that from year to year or semester to semester, depending on how and where you teach. You can also have students create portfolios as well of their work throughout the progress. So you're checking their work through the month and a half this is going to take, where every single day they need to do something. And if it's something prescribed, like you need to work on this worksheet on analyzing this type of data, or you need to work on your write-up for the experiment, or you need to work on your table, all of that's in there. Or maybe at the end of each day, you're going to have them do an exit slip, okay? What did I learn today? What do I need to remember for tomorrow or the next time? What do I need to do, okay, and why? Have them write it up, stick it in that portfolio. Create a video, present it, parent-teacher night, and so on. Economics. I'm working with a teacher in Salina, Kansas. She's an economics teacher, and she was able to get a Wii, and so she was trying to figure out how she could use it in her high school class. And so I told her about the SimCity game, because that's the game that the 4th grade teacher I mentioned earlier, he used for an after-school project. And said the students can create their own city, and they have to make it run and function without going bankrupt or anything like that. So you can build in economics using that game. There's an article on MSNBC about a teacher using the Wii music game in their class. Guitar Hero. For Wii, you have Guitar Hero. And I think there's also Rock Band, where you can set up a whole station. So you can collect data with anything. I'm pitching the sports package because it comes with the game and you don't have to buy anything else. Students love competition, so if they can compete against me or themselves, they find that fun. However, we want it to be friendly competition, so we don't want to turn anyone off from this. We want this to be fun and exciting for them. So one set of ideas in hopes to spark your mind. How can this work with your students, your school, your classroom, and you can run with it. So please feel free to email me. I'd be more than happy to share my ideas with you and forward you the PowerPoint. I would love to hear how you're using it, but I appreciate your time. Thank you.